Imagine this. A federal prosecutor, really a rising star, someone who successfully put Ghislaine Maxwell behind bars, led huge cases against people like Sean Diddy Combs, even Senator Bob Menendez.
Yeah, a major place.
Exactly. And then, just like that, summarily fired. No warning, no reason given, zero explanation. Now, imagine she sues the U.S. government, and she's alleging it was pure political retaliation directly linked to her father, James Comey, the former FBI director.
Oh, wow.
This isn't just, a personal issue. It's a massive constitutional fight over presidential power. It could seriously reshape the independence of the whole Department of Justice. Welcome to Nation Scope Podcast. We're your hosts, Jordan and Jamie.
And we're here to dive into the latest headlines, the breaking stories, all the critical events shaping America and the world.
Yep, from politics, culture, the economy, tech, we analyze the news that really matters.
So today, we are absolutely dissecting this bombshell lawsuit. It was filed just today, September 15th, 2025, by Maurene Comey, the former assistant U.S. attorney. And look, this goes way beyond just her getting fired, right? It hits a fundamental constitutional question.
Which is?
Can a president basically claim total power to fire any career federal employee? Just like that? Or do the laws Congress passed actually protect the civil service from politics? We're going to look at parallels to another really controversial firing, unpack the legal arguments, and, really uncover what this means for the rule of law.
Okay.
What you're about to hear, it's not just about the inner workings of federal justice. It reveals the real stakes here for the integrity of, well, our democracy.
Definitely stick with us, because later in this deep dive, we'll explore how this whole legal fight could send, like, a chill through the entire Department of Justice.
Yeah, that chilling effect is crucial.
Making people afraid to act independently. And we'll also look at what reforms people are talking about to protect that core idea of justice without fear or favor.
Okay, let's unpack this. Maurene Comey, she's not just any prosecutor, right? An assistant U.S. attorney, AUSA.
Joined the Southern District of New York, the SDNY, which is, famous for its independence back in 2015. Harvard Law grad, 2013.
Got that rising star reputation pretty fast.
Totally. I mean, look at her record. Leading role in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Ghislaine Maxwell got Maxwell convicted. 20 years.
Huge cases.
Then more recently, leading the team prosecuting Sean Diddy Combs. She was even co-chief of the Public Corruption Unit, oversaw the bribery convictions for Senator Menendez.
Her track record is, well, impressive. It speaks volumes about her skill and the sensitive stuff she was handling.
Exactly, which makes how she was fired even more, well, jarring.
That's the key point, isn't it? The contrast. You've got this stellar record, and then boom, summary termination. July 16th, 2025.
How did it happen?
Just an email. A memo from Main Justice, the headquarters. No warning, no reason, no performance issue cited. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
The notice only cited Article 2 of the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States. And citing only Article 2, well, that's a big flag.
Why is that?
It signals this claim of absolute presidential power to remove anyone, anytime. It's a really broad interpretation.
Wow.
And when she asked her boss, the interim U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, for details, he apparently just said, all I can say is it came from Washington. I can't tell you anything else.
So very opaque, top down.
Extremely. Points to a directive coming right from the cop with no local input or explanation.
Which makes you ask, if she's this rising star, what possible performance reason could there be? I mean, just 3 months earlier, she got an outstanding performance review.
Right. And get this, the day before she was fired, her supervisors asked her to lead a new major public corruption case.
The day before.
Seriously.
Seriously. The reports say her supervisors were visibly shocked and upset by the news. It just doesn't add up, from a performance standpoint.
Not at all. It smells fishy.
Well, that's exactly what the lawsuit claims. It alleges this was political retaliation, pure and simple.
Okay, lay it out.
The complaint basically says she was terminated solely or substantially because her father is former FBI Director James B. Comey.
Ah, the James Comey connection.
Who is, of course, a very prominent critic of President Trump. And remember, that tension really flared up back in May 2025. James Comey posted that weird message, 8647.
Yeah, I remember that. Cryptic.
The administration apparently took it as some kind of threat, and the lawsuit also points to this sustained pressure campaign from Laura Loomer, the far-right activist.
What'd she do?
Back in May, she publicly called for the firing of James Comey's liberal daughter, and then later she actually claimed credit after Maurene was fired.
Claimed credit. Wow.
Yeah. So the lawsuit argues this shows a really troubling mix of official decisions and partisan activism, suggesting an improper motive for the fire.
Okay, to really get the weight of this, you mentioned another controversial firing. We need to go back a bit, right? Geoffrey Berman.
Absolutely. June 2020, Geoffrey Berman, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York back then, his ouster was chaotic, and it definitely set a precedent. A pretty disturbing one, many would argue.
Tell us about that. How did that go down?
It was wild. Happened over like 30 hours. Friday, June 19th, 2020, Attorney General Bill Barr puts out this press release saying Berman is stepping down.
Okay.
But Berman finds out he's resigning by reading the press release. So he immediately puts out his own statement saying, nope, I haven't resigned, not planning on it. Total defiance.
Wow. Okay. So a standoff.
Big time. The next day, Barr says, okay, fine, President Trump fired you. And he accused Berman of choosing a public spectacle.
So Trump fired him.
Well, then Trump himself kind of muddied the waters, saying, that's Barr's department, I'm not involved. Very confusing signals.
How did it?
Berman eventually agreed to step down, but only after he got Barr to agree that his deputy, Audrey Strauss, who was really respected, would take over as acting U.S. attorney. He wanted to ensure continuity within the office.
Okay, so Berman fought back publicly. Now, the context there is crucial too, right? What was the SDNY working on then?
Ah, yes. This is where it gets really interesting. The pressure on Berman was widely seen as linked to politically sensitive cases his office was handling.
Like what?
They were investigating Rudy Giuliani, Trump's personal lawyer, and his buddies. There was the fallout from the Michael Cohen case, which pointed fingers at Trump himself.
Right, I remember Colin.
Also, a really sensitive case involving Halkbank, a Turkish state-owned bank. John Bolton, the former national security advisor, actually alleged Trump had promised the Turkish president Erdogan he'd fix that case.
Fix the case. Yikes.
And on top of all that, an investigation into the Trump inaugural committee. So yeah, politically explosive stuff.
And Berman himself spoke out about this later.
Oh, definitely. In his book, Holding the Line, and in sworn testimony to Congress, he laid out this pattern of what he called improper political pressure.
What did he say about Barr?
He called Barr a liar, bully, and thug. Said Barr tried to bludgeon me into submission on those sensitive cases, like pushing him to drop charges against Halkbank.
Really specific allegations.
Yeah, and that DOJ officials tried to scrub references to Trump from Michael Cohen's charging documents. He even testified Barr offered him other top government jobs, like a quid pro quo if he'd just resign quietly.
So comparing that whole messy public Berman situation to Maurene Comey's sudden, quiet firing, what's the connection? How is Comey's situation maybe different or even an escalation?
That's exactly the right question. It looks like an evolution of tactics, maybe.
How so?
Well, think about it. Berman, court-appointed U.S. attorney, political appointee level, removed very publicly, huge standoff, lots of bad press for the administration.
Right.
Comey, career civil servant in AUSA down in the ranks. Removed quietly, abruptly, via email, no public fight initially.
Different levels, different methods.
Exactly. The alleged motive for Berman was about stopping investigations into Trump's allies. For Comey, the allegation is retaliation against her father and her perceived politics.
So less about specific cases, more about loyalty or association.
Potentially, and here's the crucial difference. Berman's firing was messy, but Comey's, while quieter, represents maybe a deeper claim of power. They're trying to say the president can remove anyone, even career staff, deep inside DOJ, for any reason or no reason.
Normalizing it down the chain of command.
Precisely. It's potentially a quieter, but maybe more profound assertion of executive control over the career ranks, not just the political leadership. That's a huge potential shift.
Which brings us right to the core legal fight in Comey's lawsuit. It's this clash between presidential power and, well, the rules for federal employees, right?
That's it, exactly. You've got this really broad view of presidential power under Article 2 clashing head-on with the laws Congress set up to create a professional, non-political civil service.
So tell us about the administration's argument, that Article 2 thing.
Right. Their sole justification in that firing memo, just citing Article 2, comes from something called the unitary executive theory.
Okay, what's that?
It's a constitutional interpretation that basically says the president has complete control over the entire executive branch, plenary power, unchecked authority, including the power to fire anyone at will.
Anyone. even career staff.
That's the assertion here. Comey's lawsuit directly attacks that idea when applied to career civil servants. Her lawyers argue that kind of unlimited power violates the separation of powers and the specific protections Congress created for federal workers.
Okay, so what are those protections? What's the counter-argument based on?
Her complaint leans heavily on the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978, the CSRA.
Right, the anti-spoil system law.
Exactly. That law was designed specifically to stop political firings and protect federal employees from prohibited personnel practices, like being fired for discriminatory reasons, including political affiliation.
So her argument is?
That being fired because of who her father is, his political speech, and her own perceived political views, that's exactly the kind of prohibited political discrimination the CSRA was meant to prevent.
Makes sense.
And there's another layer to the First Amendment.
How does that fit in?
Well, the argument is the government can't punish an employee, especially one with a great record, as a way to retaliate against the protected free speech of a family member.
Retaliation by association.
Right. It punishes her for her father's speech. And think about the chilling effect that has, not just on her, but on any government worker who might worry that speaking out could cost their relatives their jobs.
It silences people indirectly.
Absolutely. It creates this fear that ripples outwards.
So, okay, the stakes here seem incredibly high. This isn't just procedural, it's fundamental.
It really is, because the administration is using the same broad Article 2 Act to claim this maximalist power grab for two very different people. Berman, the U.S. attorney, his status was a bit legally complex.
A gray area, maybe?
Kind of. But Maurene Comey, a career AUSA, she should be squarely covered by civil service laws. That seems much clearer.
So if the administration wins this case?
It would be huge, way more impactful than the Berman situation, legally speaking. It would essentially give a legal stamp of approval to politicizing not just the DOJ leadership, but the rank-and-file prosecutors.
Undermining the CSRA for potentially thousands of people.
It could effectively nullify those civil service protections for the entire prosecutorial core of the DOJ. That fundamentally changes the nature of federal law enforcement.
Okay, stepping back then. These two firings, Berman and Comey, seen together.
Sure.
It looks less like isolated incidents and more like a pattern, right? Challenging the basic norms of DOJ independence.
That's a critical takeaway. It suggests a systemic challenge, not just one-offs. And the most immediate impact, as we mentioned, is this chilling effect.
Right, the fear factor.
Maurene Comey herself warned about it in her farewell email. She said, if a career prosecutor can be fired without reason, fear may seep into the decisions of those who remain. Fear is the tool of a tyrant.
Powerful words.
And when you hear reports about other prosecutors potentially being dismissed, especially those who worked on Trump-related cases or January 6th stuff, it strengthens the idea of a pattern.
Making people think twice before taking on certain cases.
Or making decisions based on politics, not the law. That's the danger. It pressures people towards political favor, away from impartiality.
And what about the SDNY specifically? That office has such a reputation.
The Sovereign District of New York, right. They've always fiercely guarded their independence. So hitting them twice, first Berman, now Comey, it really does look like a concerted effort to break that independent culture.
Targeting an office known for tough, independent investigations.
An office that historically has brought some of the most politically damaging cases against powerful figures, regardless of party.
There's also this idea of trust, right? How courts view the government.
Yes, the presumption of regularity. Courts usually assume government officials are acting properly, in good faith.
But this kind of behavior.
It shreds that presumption. When you have a fake resignation for Berman, or this flimsy Article 2 excuse for Comey, it erodes the court's trust in the executive branch. That has ripple effects for all government litigation.
It normalizes political interference.
Exactly. And remember Berman's allegations: pressure to drop cases, pressure to investigate critics, protect allies.
Right. It wasn't just about the firings themselves.
No. It paints a picture of a DOJ where politics was influencing day-to-day decisions. The firings then become the ultimate threat, the ultimate tool to enforce that political line. It shifts the DOJ's mission away from impartial justice towards protecting political interests.
So wrapping this all together, the Comey lawsuit feels like more than just a lawsuit.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just some HR dispute. It feels like a calculated next step in a broader push to undermine DOJ independence. Taking that maximalist view of presidential power and applying it down to the career level, that sets a really dangerous potential precedent.
And the outcome.
It will have massive lasting consequences. If Comey wins, it reaffirms those civil service protections, puts a judicial check on executive overreach. A huge win for the rule of law.
And if she loses?
It could effectively give the green light for future administrations to purge the DOJ, or any agency, really, of anyone seen as politically inconvenient. That fundamentally changes American justice. It erodes public trust in a way that's hard to recover from.
Given all that, and the limits of oversight we've seen, what can actually be done? Are there concrete reforms being discussed?
Yes. The sources we looked at point to 3 main areas for potential reform.
Okay, what are they?
First, legislative action. Congress could step in and strengthen the Civil Service Reform Act, make it crystal clear that assistant U.S. attorneys are protected, can only be fired for actual cause, and give them stronger ways to appeal.
Closing loopholes, basically.
Yeah, right. Second, enhanced oversight. Congress needs to beef up its own oversight role. Maybe require the Attorney General to report any firing of a career prosecutor to the Judiciary Committees quickly, with a real detailed reason, not just some blanket excuse.
More transparency and accountability.
Exactly. And third, rebuilding norms. This is maybe harder, but crucial. Future presidents, future attorneys general, they need to make a very public, deliberate effort to rebuild the norms of independence. Hammer home that prosecutorial decisions are off limits to politics, that the DOJ serves the law, not the president personally.
Culture change from the top.
Yes, reaffirming that core mission.
Okay, so as you think about everything we've discussed today, here's something to really chew on. Imagine a Justice Department where every single career prosecutor has to worry. Worry that taking on a tough case against someone powerful, or maybe even just something their spouse or parent said online, could get them fired instantly, with no recourse.
Yeah.
What does that future look like?
Yeah.
What happens to the whole idea of justice without fear or favor, if that's the reality for the people on the front lines? You've been listening to Nation Scope Podcast. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jamie. We're here analyzing the stories shaping America and the world.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.